Is God fair? I mean, we hear it all the time, but is God fair? You know, my name is Brother David. Welcome to Christian Basics. It's a question we hear all the time, and many have their own answers for it. But today we get to analyze it. We get to analyze it today. So this message is for anyone who is, you're a Christian and you know God is fair, but you don't really know how to express it because people will give you reasons. I mean, they have good reasons, genuine reason why they believe God is not fair. So this is for those people also. And for people who are on the fence also about maybe becoming Christians, but they feel that maybe God is not fair. You see what I'm saying? This is who this is for. And today, here on Christian Basics, I am here to answer this question for you. So stay put and stay with me, and then we're going to get to it. Is that good? All right. So is God fair? Now, you know I'm Christian, so you know exactly where I'm going to go with this. But I promised you, I will give you a good reason for it. Is that good? So this question of is God is fair, you don't really find anything that's in the Bible that say, oh, look at this, God is fair here. No, you don't find that. But you do find every argument that people have to show you that God is not fair, all of them has been addressed in the Bible. And so once they are being addressed, you keep realizing, well, God is fair. You think this, but it's not this, so God is fair. So this is where we're gonna go with this. Okay. Like one of the biggest one is the law of reciprocity, or law cause and effect that people deal with, and they use that in thinking God is not fair, but in reality, our God is fair. But let me not just say it. We're gonna go through it, and then you are gonna get to see and judge for yourself. So I will talk on two aspects when it comes to this topic. I'm gonna go over statements that people have, and we will touch on the root of this whole topic, and then I will explain why our God is fair. Okay, statements people usually have are, why not me, God? For example, the person have been good and they've seen others doing good and they're not doing good. One thing you got to understand, you don't understand how people get their stuff. You see what I'm saying? You don't know how they get their stuff. So you can't just look at what people is getting and thinking, why not me? You have no idea how they do it. This one right here touch on the law of reciprocity, and the other thing is, law of reciprocity goes both ways. It have good and bad. So if you do good, you get good. If you do bad, you get bad. It's not fair. For example, maybe you knew someone and they did not have the best jump shot, but they get the scholarship and you didn't. So you saying this is not fair, but you don't understand the whole picture. You see what I'm saying? You do not understand the whole picture. So what you're dealing with here, when you see this person gets this and you don't get it, you are dealing with the law of reciprocity. Let me tell you this a lot. This is among the Christians a lot, where a lot of times when you're thinking about the people that have lots of money, a lot of it, many of the time, is people in the world. The secular people are the one with the most money, and Christians usually do not have as much. And so, so the thing is, a lot of time, even in our Christian world, these people are saying, just sitting there, pray for money, and God already tell you how to get money. you know, how to take care of yourself, how to prosper. You know, in Genesis 3:19, where, you know, God is telling you that by the sweat of your brows, and that's how you will eat bread. So if if you want to eat bread, or in our world right now, get money, well, use the sweat of your brows. So the Bible is really telling you both how to either get bread or don't. You can just not use the sweat of your brows, you get none. You can use the sweat of your brows and you get some. You can use a little bit more of the sweat of your brows and get even more. So the Bible already gave you the tools, the key of how to prosper. And maybe many people are not using it. A lot of time they just, our own brothers and sisters, they just rely on prayer and no action. And then they turn around and tell God, you're not fair because the people that's not serving you have all this money and then I don't. No, this is the law of reciprocity, which you also see in Galatians 6:7-10, which tells you about whatever you once saw, they will reap. So if you sowing good, you will reap good. If you will sow bad, you will reap bad. You know, so these things are a law of reciprocity. And these laws, believe it or not, like I was saying, you know, the secular use these laws and profit. So these laws, you don't even have to be Christians to profit from them, to benefit from them. Anyone can. These are natural laws that God put out there in the world, and anyone can use it and prosper. So these people, they use it and they prosper. And we're sitting there asking God, hey, why they getting it? I don't. I pray. No. They don't pray. They actually do exactly what God asked them to do, which is putting in work. And they're putting in work. And next thing you know, they prosper. You know, so it's not God is not fair. It's that it's us not using what God have already put there for us to use. We ignore it, and then we watching others prosper, and we think so. Law of reciprocity, believe it or not, is one of the main thing that all of us are dealing with. Before I go into the other one, you know, look, just look at every instance of when you say God is not fair, and majority of the time it will be something that have to do with the law of reciprocity or the law of cause and effects. You don't know how people get their stuff. You know, when you finally understand how sometimes people do the wrong thing to get their stuff. Now, the wrong thing is available to you too. Now, as a Christian, I'm not asking you to do it, but I'm just doing logic. The wrong thing is available to you too. Why don't you go do the wrong thing and get your money? Now, I'm not telling you to, I'm just doing the logic right now. What I'm trying to tell you, you have no idea how and what people go through to get theirs. They put their lives at risk sometimes to get it. You don't want to put your life at risk. And so majority of it is higher risk, higher reward. So majority of it is the law of reciprocity. That's what people are dealing with. So before I go into the other one, I will deal with the fact that statement, God is not fair, is a selfish statement. Most people who make this statement are usually people who only see things, you know, everything has to revolve around how they feel, how they think. Before they even tell you that God is not fair, they already have how that God should have responded to whatever situation they were dealing with. They have the response. They all have exactly how God should have responded. These are selfish people. They only see things through their eyes only, and they are the one that usually have issues a lot of time with it. A lot of us don't understand it, but we believe God is fair, but we don't understand it yet. But today you will understand it. The first one is law of reciprocity. That's what most people are dealing with. The second one is when something happened to you. This is a very tough one. This is a very tough one. Brace yourself. This is a very tough one. When someone is doing you wrong, right? When someone is doing you wrong. Now, that one is a tough one to deal with because the person, you don't do anything to deserve it. At least you don't believe. And most of the time it's not. So that means that person is sowing bad. They will get bad later, you know? So you are the initial one that's getting, you know, done wrong by that individual. And when I tell you done wrong, let me tell you, I mean it. And, you know, there are people who violate, you know, women, children. And I mean, it can be really bad. There are things that happen to some of you that are listening here that probably is traumatizing, and it could be permanent. Okay. Now, here's the thing. When we are in these situations and we say, why me? And we want God to come and, you know, and do something about it. But here's the thing. God, in his own word, Matthew 11:28, which says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Let me say it again. Come unto me, all you that are labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. This is God's voice to every individual, every human being on earth at any given point. They may listen to it. They may not listen to it. Some respond, some don't. But God all the time. So pretty much God is in your ears saying, my son, my daughter, don't do this. So this is God talking to the person who's doing you wrong. Telling that person, my son, my daughter, don't do this. Come to me. Stop doing the wrong thing. It's not good for you. Come unto me. God is constantly whispering in everybody's ears, you know, to tell them, you know, come to me. So because God have died on the cross, and God don't want to die on the cross just for a few people. God is trying to maximize as many people as possible to join the kingdom. So God is out there telling everybody, the one that's doing you wrong, come to me. Stop doing that. The reason is, and the you know, the funny thing is, this is exactly what God does to you. Now, let me explain something before I do that. One of the main reasons before, you know, I should have said that to you. One of the main reasons we don't understand this part right here is because we do not, whenever it's happening to us, we just get caught in what we're going through. And we see what the person did to us, but what we do not see is how God sees it. Whenever someone is doing something wrong, God sees sin. Okay? Whatever you're doing wrong, it's a sin. So what that person was doing to you is a sin. If we seen it through the eyes of God, when God sees it, when God's looking at it, God sees sin. So when that person was doing the wrong to you, God sees sin, and God was like, hey, you know what? Please listen to me. And so it's the same. It's funny. It's the same exact thing when you are doing something wrong. When you're doing something wrong, God is saying the same exact thing to you, whether you're already a Christian or not. God is saying, don't do it. You know, let's stay strong. Don't do that. Get away from that. God is constantly talking to everyone else. So the problem is, here's the thing. We want God to strike. And sometimes some people, so the thing they do is so heinous. And, you know, if I tell you I wouldn't want God to strike, you know, I gotta be honest. Sometimes I would love for God to strike, you know, but here's the issue with that. When they are sinning, we want God to strike. So I respond, for God to be fair, God has to strike them. Remember, you see them doing exactly something specific that's wrong. God sees sin. So when they sin, you want God to strike. How about when you sin? Now, because the thing is, for God to be fair, God have to strike everyone that is sinning. So how about when you sin? So when they were sinning, God was on their ears saying, hey, come unto me. Leave that alone. And so the same thing God do for you. When you were doing something wrong, God said, hey, leave that alone. Come back to me. But, and it's in our nature. And many want God to strike. Well, if you want God to strike, then when you're doing something wrong, you also want God to strike. And that's how God would have to be fair if God is striking. Now imagine yourself. If God was striking when people were sinning, remember that's what God sees. When people were sinning, if God was striking, I don't even think you'd be alive. Your brother David would probably not be alive. I've done enough, in my own life, and I strive every day, in front of the Lord. But the thing is, though, I wouldn't want God to use that type of way of showing that whether he's fair or not fair. I probably wouldn't be here. So this is why sometimes we want God to strike, and that's how you want God to show God is fair, right? And you hold that as the reason why God is not fair. Well, if God is striking, God is going to have to strike everyone. And so the thing is, at the end of the day, this is why God is fair. When God, whatever is going out there, whatever is going through you, whatever you're doing that is wrong, God sees sin. You cannot want God to strike for sin, because you also sin. You'd be struck too. So what we got to do as Christians, pray for those who trespass against us and help them get better. And, I'm not saying personally, but you can pray for them in the background and for them to get better, for them to, whatever they're going through that makes them act the way they do. So for that, for that aspect to get better in their lives, and maybe they become better people. So basically, the idea that God is not fair is just a selfish, it's a selfish statement. And majority of anything, why me, why not me, why this person get this, that's the law of reciprocity. And when something's happening wrong to us and we want God to strike, remember, you might be specific, but God sees sin. And if you want God to strike for sin, God will probably have to strike you too. And so at the end of the day, our God is fair. This is why you're still here, because God didn't strike you for sin. And that's why that person is still there also. God didn't strike him for sin. So I hope this message has blessed you. I hope this message has bring clarity to you and help you move better in the future while serving the Lord. This is Brother David, Christian Basics. Have a good time.